you. I was so ready. First I did. Well, that's a 7. Nice to see you. Not enough for my wife. Happy to help you with that. You too.
Not you, Robert. Really? Yeah.
Just read and pass as they wish.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. That's incredible. No, I have. Yeah, I couldn't get it. I've been to the restaurant across the street from that. I've been there all time, and then they have a sister restaurant called Sister, which I went to. It's on Baker Street, but I forget what the cross street is. It's not far. But that's where they went. No, I graduated. I graduated with my undergrad in 21, and then I
Lashana Tova, everyone. Our tefillah is about to begin, so we welcome you, and we ask that you take your seats. During
yes, yeah.
during the tefillah, we've prepared some readings that that are going to be passed around. So there's a packet. If you want to take the packet and read it, that's fine. If you want to pass it on to someone else, that's fine. It's just additional readings to set the right mood and the right tone for Yom Kippur. da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Turn to page 3, and we'll read responsively on the left side of the page. To everything there is a season, and there's an appointed time for every purpose under heaven.
Now is the time for turning.
The seasons change, as does the balance of day and night.
The birds are beginning to turn and are heading once more toward the south.
The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter.
For the earth, for birds and animals, turning comes naturally. But for us, turning does not come so easily.
It takes an act of will for us to make a turn.
It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong, and this is never easy.
It means losing face. It means starting all over again, and that's always painful.
It means saying I am sorry. It means admitting that we have the ability to change, and this is always embarrassing.
These things are terribly hard to do, but unless we turn, we'll be trapped forever in yesterday's ways.
Dear God, help us to return.
From callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love,
From pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment.
from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith.
Turn us around, O God, and bring us back toward you. Revive our lives as at the beginning.
And turn us toward each other, God, for in isolation there is no life. We rise as the Torahs are removed from the ark. Continuing on page 204.
Beshiva Shemala.
Page 205. Kol nidere vesare vacharome vekonome vechinuye vekinuse Shevut. Dinetarna. Uristevana, Uriacharimena, Vidyasalna, alle nafshatana, mio me ki purimeze, haneo me ki purim, haneo me ki purim, habaleinu letova. Kol hon icheratna vehon, kol hon yesharon shevikin. Shevitin, Betelin, Umvutalin, La Shiririn, Vela Kayamin, Niderana, la nidere vesarana la esare ushuvatana la shevut. Turn back to the left margin on page 204. All the vows on our lips, the burdens in our hearts, the pent-up regrets about which we brooded and spoke through prayers without end on the last day of atonement, did not change our way of life, did not bring deliverance in the year that has gone. From mountain peaks of fervor, we fell to common ways at the close of the fast. Will you hear our regret? Will you open our prison, release us from the shackles of habit? Will you accept our prayers, forgive our wrongs, though we sin again and again. In moments of weakness, we do not remember promises of Atonement Day. Recall that we easily forget. Take only our heart's intent. Forgive us, pardon us. Turning back to page 205.
Shafiqin, Shafitin, Betelin, Umevutalin, Lashririn, Vela Kayamin, Nidrana La Nidre Sarana La Sare Shavuatana Shavuatana שבועתנה, לשבועות.
ונסלח לכל הדת בני ישראל, ולגר הגר בתוכם, כי לכל העם בשגגה, ונסלח לכל הדת בני ישראל, ולגר הגר בתוכם, כי לכל העם בשגגה, ונסלח לכל הדת בני ישראל, ולגר הגר בתוכם, כי לכל העם בשגגה.
סלח נא לעוון העם הזה, כגודל חסדך, וכאשר נשאת לעם הזה ממצרים ועד הנה, ושם נאמר, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך, ויאמר אדוני, סלחתי כדבריך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
We remain standing as the Sifrei Torah are returned to the ark. Seated as the ark is closed.
Everyone's phone done? Okay. I wish the entire congregation Shana Tova. May we be blessed with a year of good health, happiness, and peace. My name is Morgan Goddard, for those of you who don't know me. I am the 32nd president of Temple Bethel. I am in my third and final year as president. Last year, my goals were to increase membership and get more people involved in fundraising and to keep looking for ways to increase the security of our building. This past year, we have had some losses in the congregation, but we have gained some new members. The security of the building has increased, and the response to our fundraisers has increased over the last year. My goals have not changed. We still need to increase membership. We still need to get more people involved in fundraising. And we still need to, that's it. We also never stop looking for ways to increase the security of our building. Another goal for this upcoming year is to increase the amount of volunteerism. Our fundraising efforts have increased over the last year, and I expect more participation this year. We are a nonprofit organization that relies on the generosity of our congregation and other outside organizations. We are a congregation of 375 family units. We are always looking for ways to add more members. We hope to accomplish this by adding more family programs and activities to attract younger members as our current membership is getting older. Also, we're looking ways to increase the student population in our school, which should help increase our membership. I would like to thank Michael Finley and Audrey Ettinger Finley for chairing the school director search, along with all who worked on the committee, Lisa Ellis, Andrea Klein-Goldsmith, Michelle Rohrbach, Shari Spark, and Rabbi Rayam, to search out and interview potential candidates. After interviewing several talented candidates, we are excited to announce that Beth Daskin has joined our Temple Bethel staff. We are happy that she is on board, and we look forward to a great year in school. Due to our increased security costs, we are appealing to the congregation to contribute to the High Holiday Appeal to assist in our increased security costs. Everyone has received their High Holiday Appeal letter in the mail. Through your generosity and commitment, we are able to institute important security measures. All donations will make this temple a safer place. To date, we have received over $10,000, and I would like to thank all of those who've already donated and all of those who will donate soon. Right? Security improvements over the last year, including adding bullet-resistant film to our windows and signing a new contract with Raven Point Solutions. The faces outside, they look familiar because they're the same security guards that we've had for the past year who have their own company. Upcoming security projects include adding cameras inside and out, thanks to a Pennsylvania state grant. We are also going to upgrade our alarm and entry systems, thanks to a federal grant. And I would like to thank Michelle Rohrbach, Ranch Block, and Barry Halper for writing those grant proposals. All these improvements make the building a more secure and safe. I'd also like to thank Glenn Block and Ranch Block and the Security and House Committees for always looking for ways to improve the security of our building. This past year, I did see an increase in volunteerism. We are a nonprofit organization that requires volunteers to keep us going. We cannot rely on our office staff to do it all. We always need volunteers to chair committees, serve on committees, the board, and the executive board. Every year, we need 8 new board members and to serve out a 3-year term. There are some standing committees and there are some ad hoc committees that come along based on different events and needs that we have. If you would like to volunteer or have never been approached, you can contact the office or myself, and we can steer you towards what suits you best. Everyone is encouraged to volunteer. Another project completed this year, thanks to the Klein Foundation grant, was an upgrade to our sound systems in the building. As you can hear me very clearly, right? Even in the back? Okay. I'd like to special thanks to Ranch Block and the House Committee for making this happen. Lastly, in partnership with Novidium Energy, we will be installing solar panels. There are no upfront costs to this project, as the solar panels and installation are funded by Novidium. Not only will it reduce our energy costs, but it will make us greener and lower our carbon footprint. I would like to thank Patrick Dacey and Ranch Block and the House Committee for working on this project. It has taken many years to get to this point. Simchat Torah is in 2 weeks. Please join us Saturday night, October 7th at 7 p.m. for Erev Simchat Torah, where we will ceremoniously roll back the Torahs. And then Sunday, October 8th at 9 a.m. for the Simchat Torah service in the main sanctuary, as we will be honoring the Katan Torah, Roy Ben Asarf, and the honor of Bereshit is given to Chelsea Karp. The Jewish Federation of the Lehigh Valley and the Jewish Family Service of Lehigh Valley are teaming up together to better understand the Jewish older adult population of the Lehigh Valley and how they may better serve you. They will be sending you a brief, about 2 to 3 minute survey to random select Lehigh Valley older adults to complete. If you receive this survey, please respond quickly and honestly so that we may have an accurate representation of our older adult community. Even if you do not need these services at this time, please take the survey. After the surveys are tallied, we will begin conducting listening sessions and with different groups of older adults to understand more deeply the nature of the services of the Lehigh Jewish Valley older adult community that they seek from our Jewish institutions. Emily Bronte once mused, "Every leaf speaks bliss to me, fluttering from the autumn tree. Colorful leaves are the beautiful, but raking is hard." If you are 65 or older, the Jewish Federation and JFS Older Adult Task Force is ready to help you with their leaf raking. On Sunday, November 12th, members of Hillel and Lafayette College, Lehigh University, and Muhlenberg College are volunteering late morning to mid-afternoon to help rake your leaves to the curb. You can register for this service by emailing mailbox@jflf.org, or if you have any questions or you do not use email, you can call the task force chair, Rabbi Alan Judah, 484-626-2212. We'll put this on the website for you. And then the most important announcement, which I keep on being told, this upcoming year, we're going to be honoring Brad Finberg for his dedication to Temple Bethel with security and IT, along with serving on the board and many committees over the years. We will send you more details about that, but he does a lot of stuff that's behind the scenes that no one even knows about. So without him, we'd probably have a lot of problems. Also, many people work countless hours on the high holidays to run smoothly. On behalf of the congregation, I extend the Todah Rabbah to each of the following members for all that they continue to do for our temple family. To Marla Melman, our Ritual and Service Chairman, and the Ritual Service Committee for coordinating high holiday services. To Bobby Weiner, on behalf of our sisterhood, for coordinating the beautiful floor arrangements that enhance our worship spaces throughout the high holiday season. To Dr. Larry Glazer and Maya Gould for chanting our morning services. To our Gabayim, Jay Melman, Glenn Eric, Mark Fisher, Rance Block, Human Adie, John Bochum, and Miriam Harris Bochum. To Bruce Rich for organizing our greeters, and Rance Block for serving as our honors coordinator in the main service. To our board of directors, Men's Club, and Sisterhood for graciously volunteering as bema sitters, ushers, greeters, and for helping set up our worship space. To Marla Melman and Rance Block for coordinating our high holiday honors. To Marla Melman and Chelsea Karp for help leading our high holiday services. To Glenn Block and the Security Committee for overseeing our security efforts. To Abram Pure for overseeing our parking arrangements. And South Whitehall Township, the South Whitehall Police, and Raven Point Security Solutions for providing our security services for our building during the holiday. I'd like to thank Brian Neff for arranging and conducting our teen services, and to Beth Daskin and Sherry Spark for creating and facilitating the family service on the first day of Rosh Hashanah. To our music coordinator, Summer Knoll, our guitarist, Brandon Lynn, excuse me, our junior choir for members for enhancing our service, and Maya Gould for help leading the contemporary service with Rabbi Ram on the second day of Rosh Hashanah. To Beth Danskin for coordinating youth service, and to Rebecca Aragelli, Gloria Lowy, Carly Zager, and the parent volunteers for working with the children's services and programs. And to Brian Neff for arranging and conducting our teen services, and Donna Schmale, who is volunteering as our youth service hall monitor. I'd like to thank Judy Krasnoff, our violinist, for her spiritual rendition tonight for Kol Nidre. To Gloria Snyder, our organist, for beautifully enhancing our Kol Nidre service. To all of our medical team advisors for helping our members when they're in need. A special thank you goes to our dedicated administrative staff. Executive Director Michelle Rohrbach, our school staff, Beth Daskin, Rebecca Aragelli, and our office staff, Eileen Rubel, Cheryl Reitz, and Kathy Katzman, and our maintenance staff, Crystalyn Ross, Delroy Davis, and Audley Francis. And finally, our kitchen staff, Donna Schmel, Naomi Ritter, and Crystalyn Ross, for their dedication and their tireless efforts in preparing for the holidays. Finally, a Todah Rabbah to Rabbi Moshe Rahim and Sherry Spark for leading and spiritually enhancing our worship services during this high holiday season. Gamar Katima Tova, may you dare inscribe yourself in the book of life.
Yasher Koach. Our Mariv service begins with Baruch Hu on page 207. Please rise.
Baruch Adonai Mevorach Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech Mashiach. Ma'avir yom u'mevir laila u'mavdil ben yom u'vein laila Adonai tzvaot shemo elechai v'kayam Taminim nochalenu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai
Shemo.
Hamariv Ahavim.
Page 208.
Ahavat olam Bet Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shovenu Ufkumeinu nasiach b'chukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו לאורך ימינו ובהם נגד יומם ולילה נגד יומם ולילה יברך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, שוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך, והיה עם שמוע.
We continue silently, page 209.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Page 210.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל, לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, מלכותך ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה, זה ליאנו ואמרו אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom Aminim Makinu.
Page 211.
Baruch atah Adonai Apore Sukat Shalom Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Amo Yisrael. Baruch atah, atah Adonai, hapoveh sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim, shalom. Ve'al Yerushalayim, ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim, shalom. Baruch atah, atah Adonai, hapoveh sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael.
Page 212, please rise and join me in the English, reading the biblical pronouncement for Yom Kippur. For on this day, atonement shall be made for you to purify you from all your transgressions. In the presence of Adonai, you shall be pure.
כי ביום הזה יכפר עליכם לטהר אתכם מכל חטאותיכם לפני אדוני תטהרו.
We remain standing for Chatzit Kaddish, followed by the silent Amidah, pages 213 through 221.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה
Amen.
בעולמה דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחיי חום וביומי חום ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו אמן. יהי שמי אבא מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפעל ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה וימרו אמן. Actually, before we begin, just take a moment, stand up, everyone, just stand up. Look at the person next to you, by you, wish them a Shana Tova, a Gmar Chatima Tova. If you don't know who they are, introduce yourselves. Get friendly, but not too friendly. Good. I know you're awake then. If you can stand up, you're awake. Be seated. One of the central themes of Yom Kippur is that it functions for us as a time of cheshbon hanefesh, which could be translated as turning inward, soul-searching, accountability. It's a time when we ask ourselves, how am I doing? But it's also an appropriate time to ask ourselves as a community, how are we doing? What challenges lie ahead of us as a Temple Beth El community? My teacher, Rabbi Sheila Pels Weinberg, cleverly breaks down the word atonement into its separate parts. At one mint. And she writes, we seek unification, the dissolution of barriers, the merging and unity that will culminate at the end of Yom Kippur. And that really is what a community, in part what a community should be about, right? In the outside world, there's so much dissent and confrontation. But in your community, you really want unification. And in thinking about who is a part of our kahal, of our community, our congregation, and I do think, by the way, there's a difference between congregation and community. We ask ourselves, what does it mean for us to be at one? How do we see ourselves as a community or congregation? What does it mean to be conservative? Who do we number amongst us as members of this community? Is there a difference between congregation and community? You know, over the years that I've been here, I've delivered 86 sermons on the high holidays. And this evening, I decided not to give one. Now, I'm going to try something different. And what we're going to do this evening is I've invited one of our members, Selena Robinson, host of Selena and Crockett on 100.7 LEV, to discuss some of these topics with me. Selena, you can applaud, it's okay. And if you don't know Selena afterwards, she's very lovely, and you should introduce yourself and get to know her.
Thank you so much. Be very loud. Can you still hear me?
have a family. Some people respond by saying that in joining a synagogue, in joining a synagogue community, they're really searching for a family. Several mentioned that they don't have family close by, and how in coming and joining Bethel, individual members have become like family to them, and how they really love coming to Temple to reconnect. They said things like, you know, our relatives live hours away, and having that sense of community really means so much to us. One person noted how when their spouse was ill, so many of their synagogue friends were there to help in any way that they could, bringing meals to fill the fridge so that they didn't have to cook for like a year, and they could focus on being the caretaker for their loved one. Some volunteered to keep their spouse company so that they could get away and meet their other communal commitments. One longtime acquaintance from the temple showed up one day to this person's house, and just out of the blue, and rang the doorbell with a box of chocolate-covered fruit from edible arrangements. And this person wrote and said, I was just so touched by the amount of support that I received. And, you know, in hearing these responses, I have to say that I, too, found it very moving to hear these types of responses.
Yeah, it sounds like support. Support's very important in the
Very
community.
much so. But there were other themes that recurred. One, a number of congregants define community in terms of a shared interest group pulling together to support a common goal. And they define community as a place where people of the same or similar interests, customs, traditions, and religious beliefs can come together with a level of comfort and acceptance. Creating community, another person wrote, takes time and intentionality and commitment. Not being isolated, but being connected to the broader Jewish community. And when that happens, there's a willingness to give back through volunteer work and helping out whenever possible. I like this response because it shows that community really is a two-way street. There has to be an effort on the part of both those who are already a part of the community to reach out to those who are new, but there also has to be an effort for those who join to become involved and to become a part of that community. So it really is a two-way street. And someone else, not to mention any names, expressed this idea a little differently. They said that community is reciprocal. You get as much out of the community as you put in. However you contribute to that community mentally, spiritually, or physically, it will enrich your life in return.
Sounds like a wise person. That was pure just coincidence, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pure coincidence.
All right. That is really lovely. You know, I'm curious too. I'm trying to understand the difference, the distinction between congregation and community, because you were talking about, that was one of the questions too. Is there a difference between the two? Which I know you want to talk more about community, because there's a sense of community in different ways, right? When we're listening to the prayers, there's a sense of community. Even if you're not 100% sure of the prayers, you sense it. Saying the national anthem, right? That is one of the ways of having a sense of, what was that called, that sense of community?
So, very early on when I came to Bethel, 22 years ago, right? Arguably, there was a book that came out by Rabbi David Deutsch called Spiritual Community. And it really made a great impression on me. And in the first chapter, he draws on the work of the Jewish sociologist Jonathan Wilshire, who distinguishes between what he calls communitas and an actual existing community. simple self-satisfaction, right? It's not about me having my own spiritual experience in the pews or in the seats or in the bleachers. It's really more about a shared common purpose that we want to achieve together.
And I noticed too, you've actually mentioned you believe there's a difference between congregation and community. And I know I've interchanged the two. I don't know if that's a mistake. What is the difference to you? Can you say more about the difference between congregation and community?
Sure. So Rabbi Toich puts it in terms of familiarity with membership. If most congregants don't know each other on a first-name basis, then they don't have a community in the strong sense of the term. Now, you might say that a congregation that's really large, 500, 600, 700 families, that might seem impossible, right? I mean, how can you possibly get to know everyone's first name? And that's really one of the reasons why many years ago, Rabbi Harold Schulweis of blessed memory in California came up with the idea of Havarot, of smaller communities. How many here belonged to Bethel at a time, years ago, when there were Havarot? You know, when the Bethel membership was, up to 750. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why that was done. So that in your smaller community, your smaller circle, you could get to know each other much more closely and cultivate those relationships. So the idea was to break down the larger communities to smaller components, to take that type of, to create that type of familiarity and comfort level with others so that it could take place. And it's in that small unit, by the way, right, that you feel comfortable enough saying to someone, so what's a good test of this? If you know that moment that you can say, hey, would you mind bringing my kids home? That's a good sense that you have community, right? You're not going to do that at a Phillies game. I actually have an additional take on this. I think we here and not only us, but many congregations have been guilty of kind of fence sitting. What do I mean by that? On the one hand, we view the temple as a community, and that's when you hear people talking about their temple family. On the other hand, we operate on a kind of pay-for-service model, and that model dictates that the customer should always be happy, like a business, and that we should cater to their needs. So I'll give you one example of this. It's the difference between saying, okay, this family wants a private affair, a private bar or bat mitzvah party in the temple that's separate. And the congregation then goes off and has their own lunch and kiddush. I don't know how many of you, probably not older people, but how many of you saw the Netflix movie, You're So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah? Anyone see
Good,
that?
right?
Yeah, with Adam Sandler. Well, the temple in that movie operates on a pay-for-service model. The idea that the customer determines who is and who is not invited to their bar bat mitzvah is very much a pay-for-service model. The person pays for a particular service, like a business, so that they can determine who is and who is not invited, right? Because it's their party. And in this regard, we actually lean more towards the community model. What do I mean by that? We've long insisted that bar bat mitzvah is really a community event in the sense that bar bat mitzvah class has to invite. I'm going to just take this off so it doesn't spring. So we insisted that bar bat mitzvah families invite everyone in that bar bat mitzvah class to their bar bat mitzvah, not just if they're here at the year school, but if they're at the day school and they don't really know them, right? So by doing that, what we're trying to say is we're trying to really create community here. And one person actually responded to this question very cleverly and said, he talked about how here? It's so empty, right? Or you could say what?
Look who's here.
Wow, look who's here. It's so great to see you. Indeed, the Bethel membership now is about 370 or 375. And given our current size, we really have an opportunity to do this. We can get to know people better.
And I think this is why, now I understand having children, Cole and Lila over there, close to their bar and bat mitzvah year, why we have the luncheon for everybody. Whether you think you're going to be there or not, you should. Like that I understand. So the whole congregation can celebrate this mitzvah with you. That's that community that you're talking about.
I mean, the other side, by the way, there are some congregations in the Lehigh Valley that charge a separate fee for bar and bat mitzvah tutoring, which we don't do here. And the idea is that that's really something that's supported by the entire community. Education is important to us all.
You asked the question in your email that you sent out to the congregation about the difference between conservative, reform, Orthodox, Chabad, Reconstructionist. And I'm about to ask, and I promise this won't take forever, but what is the difference? Because I think people do get confused. My sister even is a rabbi. She's having a service tonight. She's Reconstructionist in Philadelphia. So I find it very interesting to have this conversation being from different, they're movements, right? Is that what it's referred to, movements?
There is overlap. So for example, Reconstructionism grew out of conservative Judaism. I've been given a time limit here, so I can't answer your question.
It was in your email.
of my time limit, because it's really a very big question, and maybe we should have a year-long course on this. I think people would find it fascinating. One responded to this question, why conservative? And they used the following analogy. They said, why conservative? Well, Reform and Reconstructionists are too laid back for us, not enough structure. Orthodox is too strict, and not how we were raised. And I enjoy sitting with my wife and family. Chabad, again, too much for us.
Sounds familiar. This sounds like a fairy tale story.
The three
Yeah.
bears. In fact, he said, think of it as the story of the three bears. Just right. Apple Bethel.
Yeah. Are they serving porridge later? Shouldn't be talking about food on Kol Nidre. You're right. Sorry.
I think it's important, though, to say a couple words, because it can be misleading. So first of all, the name itself, conservative Judaism. We're called conservative Judaism for a reason, which isn't political. The name came to be because it was formed to conserve things about Judaism that were being set aside in the late 19th century by Reform Judaism. So, think about kashrut or things like that. That split those two movements, and it was intentional. So when the first HUC rabbinical school class was ordained, they served not just trade, but the trafest of the trade that you could imagine. So much so that it was called the Trafer Banquet. Now, to Reform Judaism's credit, they have flexibility. And, in the past, I'd say 40, 50 years, they've incorporated much more of the tradition into their practice. But conservative Judaism, I think, for a long time recognized the fact that Judaism always evolved and always changed to meet the needs of the times. That history marches on, and that religion, like everything else, is meant to adapt to it. But the question is, how does it adapt? Although the argument has often been made that conservative Judaism adheres to Jewish law and recognizes that Jewish law has evolved and changed to meet the needs of the time, what's left somewhat vague, and I think this is confusing, right, is how that process occurs. Right? Some people say, well, why this and why not that? In fact, there's one person here who's studying with me to be a supervisor in the kitchen. And, I won't single them out. But time and again, they said, this doesn't make sense. Why is it, this is inconsistent. And I said, yeah, well, welcome to the Jewish world, right? Or welcome to the world in general, right? There are paradoxes there are contradictions. Why does conservative Judaism change certain things but not other things? It can be very confusing and somewhat contradictory. The more liberal part of conservative Judaism, I think, has often viewed Jewish traditions, such as keeping kosher, not so much as a personal commandment from God, but probably as part of the Jewish people's folkways. This is what Jews did for centuries, and it helped preserve the Jewish people. So it's something that really merits continuing. In other words, I might keep kosher not so much because I believe that God cares whether or not I have a cheeseburger at McDonald's, but as a way of connecting historically with what we have done as a people for centuries.
Almost like community over time,
Yeah,
in essence,
it's
keeping with,
it's a little more intricate
Yeah.
than that because the question arises: well, what happens if the original intent for that mitzvah no longer applies? So I'll give you an example with the same example of kashrut. Let's say the idea of keeping kosher is to prevent cruelty to the animals. There's a special way for shechita to minimize pain, right? Well, what happens if the kashrut industry has kind of adopted the general practice of the industry in general, and these animals are treated cruelly? It kind of undermines the basic premise of kashrut. So under those circumstances, you might want to even advocate being plant-based. A while back, I'm kind of, this is the danger of doing this stuff. You'll have to bear with it. But a while back, we were asked by JCC, the clergy, what we think about kashrut at the JCC. And my answer to that was, well, what is the JCC's vision statement? If your vision statement says, we're all about health and healthy living and healthy eating, then the question isn't necessarily kosher or not kosher, but maybe the question is, what is in line with healthy living? So I think that also could apply. But let's move on.
yeah. I mean, you're talking about the steps to preserve. And I think that's interesting to see that conservative Judaism does adapt, can change. I always thought it was so rigid, but it can change over the course of time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to throw my cards out
Yeah,
because it's
basic.
getting in my way.
Yeah.
But an important point to that is something called catering. I think this is really critical. So for a long time, the approach of conservative Judaism to the reality that intermarriage is at 50% in our country was to kind of turn your back on reality. But over time, it developed a principle called catering, of really welcoming people in to a greater extent. And that's
because they are part of the community. They give to the community,
But at the same
right?
time, being very respectful of their decision to, not join it as a religion, but rather as a community and as people. So that's one area, and we are very flexible here. I think it's important to understand this. When people join Bethel and I meet with them, I really want to get to know them, and I want them to get to know me. So we want to make sure they're joining the right synagogue. A lot of times people don't know the difference between reform and conservative. So it's very important to have that conversation and to have flexibility and for them to understand exactly what, not just my expectations, but the expectations of our community is.
So in other words, what you're saying is, that's the whole point, to be able to communicate in a community, to communicate with you. There is evolving as long as there's communication.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to.
And that's a two-way street. If we reach out to people, but they don't come in, and they don't respond, then, at the end of the day, that's the problem. Because the whole idea is really for us to get to know each other better.
That's what it comes down to. Finally, what do you see as our main communal challenges in the years to come?
So Morgan alluded to this earlier in his talk, where we are, Morgan, that, we currently do not have an active membership committee. There is no membership committee. And without a membership team, we are lost. It's that simple. Because our future is our membership and in building this community. And we desperately need volunteers to work on teams to build our membership. Time and again, I hear people complaining about the fact that the decision-making process of the temple is in the hands of a few, and that they are not receptive to new ideas. Well, and I'd like to address this, because one congregant, in responding to the question that I asked, wrote, I think quite thoughtfully, community, this person wrote, is a place that listens. Community is a place that takes time to learn your name, to ask how you really are. To be in community is not to see its members instrumentally, as people to be used on endless committees but not heard, or as potential donors, or as parents who will pay Hebrew school tuition. It is in a very way to really want an I-thou relationship, to take time and really listen, to not turn the work of community and immediately back on those who are asking for help. And the writer goes on to say that they have rarely experienced that kind of community at Temple Bethel. And that might certainly be true. I have heard that from some people. But you know what, folks? The greatness of young people work is to say to us, it's not too late. We can change. We can change as individuals, and we can change as a community. And that is something we can create together. And when I say we, I mean you, right? I mean all of you. It's not up to paid professionals to do that work for you. It's up to you, the congregation, the kehillah, the individual members of that community. A wise Jew once said, if you will it, it is not a dream. And I truly believe that. Tomorrow you'll hear about a He straps a red glowing coal and moves it to the edge of the ark. Slowly the coal fades, and the rabbi silently watches until the coal turns black and cold. We all need the warmth of community, says the rabbi. I'll see you at morning communion tomorrow, said William. And the rabbi takes his leave. We all do need the warmth of community. You know, the motto above, inscribed above the gates, the entrance gates of the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York, the center of conservative Judaism, features a bush in flames with a biblical inscription from Exodus, and the bush was not consumed. We need you. We need your commitment, your devotion to community, not just once a year, but throughout the year. Through that commitment, through that closeness, we will maintain that fire, that passion, and that warmth. May we see the day that although our membership may be smaller, that fire will burn brighter and warm each of us individually and as a whole. Selena, thank you so much for agreeing to moderate this conversation.
Rabbi, thank you so much. I have to tell you, you honestly could have done this all by yourself right here. You really could have. This could have been your sermon. And I don't know if this was intentional or not, but you inviting me to be a part of your sermon is, in essence, community. Is that what you were? Is that was? I really feel it, and I'll tell you what, it has my eyes open more. It's so important to say hello to everyone. Do you know, even, I'm going to point you out, Andrew. You stopped me in a parking lot we're so busy running around and we're picking up our kids from dance, and he stops me and he really, just as you said, really asked me, how are you doing? Are you preparing for Cole's bar mitzvah? I have to prepare now? Like, I have 2 more years. So just you reaching out to me, I have been thinking about that for the past 3 days, you asking how I was. It makes a difference just saying hi to somebody. It really does. It starts there for our community. Thank you so much, Rabbi.
Mark, to you and to all of you. Turn to page 223, and we rise as the ark is open.
Ya last two verses now. Ya'ale dovgenu me'erev ve'yavo gilenu mi'boker ve'yerai bakashatenu ad arev ve'yerai bakashatenu ad arev. Ya'ale ben patenu me'erev ve'yavo elecha mi'boker ve'yerai elenu ad arev ve'yerai elenu ad arev. Shomea tefillah adecha kol basar yavohu.
The ark is closed. And we're seated. We read responsibly on the top of page 224. All flesh comes to you, you who hear prayer.
Which comes to worship you, Adonai.
They shall come to bow down before you, Adonai, and they will pay honor to your name.
Come, let us sing to Adonai and cry out to the stronghold of our deliverance.
Let us greet God with thanks and sing songs of praise.
Sea belongs to God, and God made it. The land was created by God's hand.
In God's hand is every living soul and the breath of all human flesh. Continuing on page 225 with Hanashah Malach.
הנשמה לך והגוף הולך וסח וסח על המלאך. הנשמה לך והגוף הולך וסח וסח המלאך. הנשמה לך והגוף שלך אדוני עושה למען שמך.
Continuing on 226 in the English. God, you are patient. You are known as the source of mercy. You taught the way of repentance. Today and every day, call to mind the wonders of your compassion and mercy toward the children of those you loved. Turn toward us in mercy, for you are the source of mercy.
We approach
You could
your
read, it's
presence
okay.
with supplication and prayer, and with the words you revealed to Moses the humble one long ago. Turn away from wrath and let us nestle under your wings, as it is written in your Torah. About the day God descended in a cloud, overlook sin, blot out guilt, as on the day God stood beside him. Hear our cry, attend to our plea, as on the day he called the name Adonai.
We continue in the Hebrew in 226 with Vayavor Adonai al panav towards the bottom of the page.
Vayavor Adonai al panav vayikra. Adonai נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה, וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו
כי
חטאנו,
מחלנו מלכנו, כי פשענו, כי אתה
אדוני
טוב וסלח, כי אתה
אדוני טוב וסלח,
כי אתה
אדוני טוב וסלח, ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
Page 227. הנה כך אומר ביד היוצר, ברצותו מרחיב וברצותו מקצר. כן אנחנו בידך חסד נוצר לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר.
הנה כאבן ביד המסתת, ברצותו אחז וברצותו מעטת. כן אנחנו בידך
וממוטט לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר. הנה כגרזן מיד החרש,
ברצותו דיבק לאור וברצותו פרש.
כן אנחנו בידך יבקש לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר. In the English, in the middle of the page, we'll read responsively as the helm in the hand of the sailor who holds the course or abandons it at will, so are we in your hand, good and forgiving God.
Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As glass in the hand of the glazier who shapes or melts it at will, so are we in your hand, pardoner of sin and transgression.
Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As cloth in the hand of the draper who drapes or twists it at will, so are we in your hand, righteous God.
Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
As silver in the hand of the smelter who alloys or refines it at will, so are we in your hand, healer of wounds.
Recall your covenant, do not heed the accuser.
הנה ככסף ביד הצובב, ברצותו משגשג וברצותו מצרף. כן אנחנו בידך ממציל מזל טרף לברית הבט ואל תפן ליצר. Continuing on page 229. You can be seated.
המלך יושב על כיסא רחמים. מוחל עוונות עמו, מעביר ראשון, מרבה מחילה לחטאים. וסליחה לפושעים, עושה צדקות, עושה צדקות, עם כל בשר, בשר ורוח, ללא חרטה תגמול, לא חרטם תגמול. עלי, לי, 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 שלוש עשרה, זכור לנו היום ברית שלוש עשרה, כמו שהודעת לנו מקדם, כמו שכתוב, וירד אדוני בענן, ויתייצב עמו שם, ויקרא בשם אדוני, ויעבור אדוני על פניו ויקרא, אדוני, אדוני, אל רחום וחנון, ערך אפיים, ורב חסד ואמת, נוצר חסד לאלפים, נושא עוון ופשע וחטא ונקה, וסלחת לעווננו ולחטאתנו ונחלתנו. סלח לנו אבינו כי חטאנו, מחל לנו מלכנו
כי
פשענו.
כי אתה אדוני טוב,
וסלח,
כי אתה
אדוני
טוב
וסלח, כי אתה אדוני טוב וסלח, ורב חסד ורב חסד לכל קוראיך.
On the bottom of 232 in the English, on the left side, we'll read responsibly. Listen to our prayers, God. Heal our pleading, our sorrow-filled voices. May your ear hear and your eyes be open to the prayers of your servants, the people Israel. May you forgive your people who have sinned against you. Salvation is Adonai's alone. Pour blessings on your people forever. Blessed is the one who trusts in you, Adonai Tzvaot.
Adonai, save us.
We rise and turn to page 233 for Shema Kolenu as the ark is opened.
Shema, Shema, Kolenu, Shema, Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Shema, Kolenu, Hus berachem, berachem aleinu, lekabel berachamim, berachamim uvratzon, et tefilatenu. Ashivenu Adonai Elecha, Elecha v'nashuva. Chadesh, Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu, Keketem. Al tashlichenu mefadecha, beruach kodshecha, beruach kodshecha, al tikach mimenu. Al tashlichenu li'etzikna, ki chlot kocheinu, ki chlot kocheinu, al ta'azvenu. Al ta'azvenu.
The ark is closed and we're seated. At the bottom of 233, our God and God of our ancestors, do not abandon us, do not forsake us, do not shame us, do not annul your covenant with us. Draw us close to your Torah, teach us your mitzvot, show us your ways. Open our hearts to revere your name, circumcise our hearts to love you. Then we will turn to you faithfully with a perfect heart, and as befits your own great name, pardon and forgive our sins, as the psalmist wrote. For the sake of your own name, forgive my sin, though it be great. Continuing on page 234 in the Hebrew.
Eloheinu v'Elahei avoteinu, selach lahanu mechalohanu, kapeh lahanu, ki anu amecha v'ata Eloheinu, anu v'necha v'ata avinu, anu avadecha v'ata Adonenu, anu k'alecha v'ata chelkeinu, anu nachatecha v'ata goganeinu, anu tzonecha v'ata roeinu, anu karmecha
ואתה נוכחנו, אנו,
פעולתך,
ואתה יוצרנו, אנו רעייתך, ואתה דודנו, אנו,
סגולתך,
ואתה קרובנו, אנו, עמך, ואתה מלכנו, אנו,
מאמירך,
ואתה מאמירנו.
אנו הזפנים, ואתה ברחום וחנון. אנו קשי עורף, ואתה ערך אפיים. אנו מלאי עוון, ואתה מלא רחמים. אנו ימינו כצל עובר, ואתה ושנותיך לא יתאמו. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, תבוא לפניך תפילתנו, ואל תתעלם מתחינתנו, שאין אנחנו הזפנים וקשי עורף. לעמוד לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו, אבל אנחנו ואבותינו חטאנו.
We rise for the short confessional on the top of page 235.
sarnu mimitzvotecha umimishpatecha hatovim velo shava lanu ve'ata tzadik hakol ba'aleinu ki emet asita va'anachnu hirshanu.
Seated. You have always been known as the one who overlooks transgression. Hear our cry as we stand before you in prayer. Overlook the transgressions of people turning from transgression. Wipe away our transgressions from your sight. We rise for the long confessional on the top of page 237.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב, על חטא שחטאנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכך שוב כזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכפת שופר, על חטא שחטאנו לפניך. על החטא שחטאנו לפניך בעיניים רמות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בעזות מצח, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת עול, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפלילות, על חטא שחטאנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתשומת יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בתימהון לבב, ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו מחלנו כפר לנו.
Seated, continuing on page 240 in the English. May the one who answered Sarah past the time of her youth.
Uyanenu,
May the one who answered Abraham on Mount Moriah.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Isaac, their son, bound on the altar.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Rebekah as her son struggled within her.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Jacob at Beth-el.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Leah in her loneliness.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Rachel, desperate for a child.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Joseph, abandoned in prison.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered the Hebrew midwives as they stood at the birthing stool.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Yocheved, having faith on the banks of the Nile.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered the people Israel on the shores of the sea.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Moshe standing on the slopes of Sinai.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Miriam with her well of water.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Aaron offering incense to God.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered Pinchas seeking his place above the crowd, the daughters of Tzlachad standing their ground.
uyanenu,
May the one who answered those who are righteous, upright, decent, and compassionate answer us as well.
uyanenu.
We rise as the ark is open for Avinu Malkeinu on 243. You repeat after the cantor in the middle of the page. אבינו מלכנו החזירנו בתשובה שלמה לפניך. אבינו מלכנו שלח רפואה שלמה לחולי עמך.
אבינו מלכנו, זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו זוכרנו בזיכרון טוב לפניך.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר חיים טובים.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר גאולה וישועה.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר פרנסה וכלכלה.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר זכויות.
אבינו מלכנו, כותבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה.
אבינו מלכנו כתבנו בספר סליחה ומחילה מן עצמך לנו ישועה.
אבינו מלכנו, חוננו ועננו. אבינו מלכנו,
חוננו ועננו כי אין בנו מעשים. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד. עשה עמנו צדקה וחסד והושיענו.
עשה עמנו
והושיענו.
אבינו מלכנו, חוננו ועננו. אבינו מלכנו, חוננו ועננו. כי אין בנו.
Seated as the ark is closed, page 245.
יתקדל ויתקדש שמך רבה.
Amen.
מעלמא דברה קראתי ויבניך מלכותי. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בקלו בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמך רבה מבורך לעולם ועמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמך קודשה ברכו לעילא לעילא מכל ברכתה ושעתה צדקתה ונחמתה תמירן מעלמה ואמרו אמן. תקבל צלותון ובאותן לכל ישראל קדם אבוהן דבישמעיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמעיה לחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה
Page.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon ha'kol.
Ateva v'tzeh Shelo asanu kigoye agatzot V'lo samanu kimishbechot adama Shelo samech elkeinu kahem V'gohon aleinu
Hakatuv b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai Seated as the ark is closed, mourners recite the Kaddish on page 247. Yitgadal, Yitgadash, Merabah, V'alma, Divrach Yerute, V'amlich Malchute, V'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chaye Dechol Lebeit Yisrael, V'agala V'zman Kariv, V'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'olam U'me'amaya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yit'ale v'yitalal, shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela, min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechmata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom imroma, uyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Page 248, Psalm 27. The David Adonai Elohim Mishim. Amanti lirot b'tuv Adonai b'aretz chaim kavei Adonai chazak yametz libecha v'kavei Lilei amanti lirot b'tuv Adonai b'aretz chaim kavei Adonai chazak yametz libecha v'kavei el Adonai. Mourners rise for the Kaddish on page 247. Yitgadal v'yitgadash merabah v'alma divrach v'rutei v'amlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'me'amaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadal v'yit'ale v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela u'le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechmata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom imromav uyaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. We'll conclude with Yigdal on page 250.
Yigdal Elohim chai v'yishtabach nimsa v'yenet el metziuto echad v'en yachid keyihudo ne'elam v'gam insof le'achduto en lo demuraku שנברא ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו, הנו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתן אל אנשי סגולתו, ותפארתו לא קם בישראל כמשה עוד, נביא ומביט את תמונתו, תורת אמת נתן לעמל, היד נביאו נאמן ביתו, לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו, לעולמים לזולתו, צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר באדמתו, גומר לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לראש הרע כרשעתו, ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפדות מחקקת ישועתו, מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עד שם תהילתו, מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עד שם תהילתו.
Are you going to say something like Shabbat
Shana Tova, Gemar Chatima Tova.